Welcome to Read on SET. This is our maiden edition of Read, and today we have with us some very exciting authors who are coming to read excerpts from some of their books. I want to share with you some of the reasons why Read was started. Read began in a quest to inculcate the culture of reading within our society, to improve critical thinking and to just improve the ability for young people to be more active when it comes to the ability to reason. Before we start, I'd like to introduce some of our guests to you. We have Kofi Apagli, who is a communications expert. He's also a travel writer at The Mirror, and he's also a two-time winner of the CNN African Journalist for Arts and Culture. Then we have also Nana Awere Damwa, who is also an author of 5 books. He has a master's in chemical engineering and also travels between Nigeria and Tema to do his work. Some of these books include Sabbatically Speaking, I Speak of Ghana, Tales from Different Tales, Through the Gates of Thought, and Excursions in My Mind. How we're going to structure this is that we're going to move over to where they're sitting and they're going to introduce some extracts from the books before the reading starts. After that, we'll move on to our audience to start asking questions, and that's when the real juices will start flowing and the interactions will begin. So welcome once again, and come with us on this journey.
Thank you very much, Kate, and thanks for having us on this maiden edition. Kofi will start the reading, and he will start from Tickling the Ghanaian, and would put us in the mood with a reading about Fufu. Kofi, right?
Thank you, Nana. I begin with a story entitled The Truth About Fufu. It is from Tickling the Ghanaian. I begin with the prologue. Tupam is the sound that draws us to the mound of fufu found in an island of soup. We drink and we swallow and swallow. Perhaps if there is one reason why we refuse to adopt a less laborious way to pound fufu, it is because we believe it is worth the sweat. For those Ghanaians who eat fufu, they love it to the last morsel, and the toil of preparation seems fair efforts for the yummy reward. In Ghana, we express serendipity by saying that fufu has fallen into soup. One does not wish for a more palatable situation. Whether done with yam, cassava, cocoyam, plantain, or combinations of these, fufu provides a delicious full meal for many Ghanaians. It also allows us to show our zest for life. Just consider this: a sweaty encounter with an asanka of fufu, overrun with hot, delicious soup, crabs, snails, kotodwe, and all. The ginger and pepper and prekese get the nose to run. Still, the swallowing continues unabated. While the right hand is ferrying the fufu in, the left hand busily wipes the sweat, the phlegm, and the tears. Occasionally, the soup trickles from the palm down to the elbow, but the mouth still follows this and actually sucks the drip at the tip of the elbow. In Ghana, the day most associated with the fufu phenomenon is Sunday. There isn't much activity and everyone is home. Fufu thus becomes a ceremonial dish, much like the English family's Sunday roast dinner. Because of these connections, when the Ghanaian says he or she is looking forward to the weekend, fufu is likely to be part of the motivations. Because of the emotional attachment to fufu, over the generations, there is a body of habits and myths that have developed around it. For example, in Ghanaian society, when someone owes you and you visit to claim your money, there is nothing more irritating than to catch the person pounding fufu. How dare you?
That's a good one, Kofi.
Yeah. It's a young way to start. It's a young way to start. Now, get back quickly to Nana here. Nana and I go way back, but that's another story. I love reading his writing because he engages you. One of my favorite chapters in his book, Tales, is the one that has to do with a trotro trip from a place that I'm connected with, Kotobabi. So, Nana, would you take us back to that journey?
Thank you, Kofi. So I read from Face to Face, Trotro Palava, and this is from Tales from Different Tales. The engineer who designed the bus would have surely been surprised to find that one of his handiworks was still on the road, so many years after the assembly plant has been decommissioned. There was a likelihood that he might not even recognize it as one of those that left his factory. A new guy at Kokompe has left his mark on the old Morris bus. The Trotsky, as all the locals called their regular passenger vehicles, carried registration number ABC 4037. Lagos Town, New Town, Circle. Lagos Town, New Town, Circle, ready going. Akwesi shouted, calling out in all directions, his brownish towel on his shoulder, already soaked with sweat in the 30 degrees centigrade sun. Intermittently, he would wring it to squeeze out the sweat. Yes, almost singing out the drawn out word. Ready going. 2 more to go. Come, are you going? Akwesi crossed the street to help a lady who ended up going to another vehicle. She was headed for Mamobi, rather. Even though there were 6 people seated in a trotro, only one of them was a real passenger. The rest were mates and drivers in the Abedi station. Sitting in the bus was a ploy to encourage other commuters to join, thinking it was almost full. Abedi station was situated in the pig farm area. The area's name dating back to the days when a nearby joint was the best place in Accra to get domedo, fried and spiced pork. It was a pork factory. Lines of frying pork could be found at the joint, and one could get the domedo hot, spiced, with accompaniment of ringed onions and pepper powder. The station was managed by the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, GPRTU, an affiliate of the Trade Union Congress, TUC. Some called it Jepretu of Tuk. The executives were retired old drivers. Efo Gayon was the station master. Yes, Circle, New Town, Kokomlemle, Lagos Town, air-conditioned bus, away, ready going. There were 5 people now, and the other mates and drivers each gave one another cues to begin getting off strategically as the bus filled up. The vehicle was actually a lorry which had been converted into a passenger bus. The capacity was written as part of the particulars on the driver's door. 19, which included the driver. In the lingua of the station, the sitting arrangements were distributed 16 back, 2 front. The driver's seat was not included in the tally. The driver was separated from the main compartment behind him by a wire mesh. Even though the compartment contained 2 wooden benches arranged parallel to each other so that when the passengers sat, they faced each other. Even though the driver's mate admitted 16 passengers to occupy the bench, he would insist on sitting as well. Masa Kojo, Masa, the bus is almost full. We can go now. The driver walked slowly to the bus, a toothpick busy in his mouth. He was using it like a sealing brush to remove scattered cobwebs of meat stuck in his teeth. He had just completed a meal of fufu and akrantie, a specialty of Daviama. Mate, we are serving on each bench already. Is it not full? Are you not going to sit yourself? No, we are not full. It is 1 man, 1 seat, 8 on each bench. Ah, mate, Yipa, what 1 man, 1 seat? The other passengers joined in the laughter. Soon, a new passenger joined the bench behind the driver. Mate, the latest passenger, a man dressed in factory overalls, inquired, "There's no more space on this bench. How can I fit?" Akwesi ignored him and called for 1 more passenger. "Mate, are you not going to answer my question? And where are you going to sit? Won't you sit on the last available space on this other bench?" "Ask and ask again, master," the woman said. I asked him the same question, and he told me this rickety bus of his is 1 man, 1 seat. A woman who was clearly in a hurry came running and was grateful when Akwesi asked her to sit on the little space he indicated on the bench. With a touching of wires, the driver got the engine running. And at the cue of "away bus" from Akwesi, Master Kojo took off and then applied the brakes suddenly, as if on cue. The dilemma of inadequate space of the benches were solved immediately as each passenger was thrown in the direction of the driver and the parking was complete. Thank you.
That was very, very, very enthralling. And it was, the books that you read from was Tales from a Different
Tales from Different Tales.
So Tales from Different Tales, and also Tickling the Ghanaian. Something that I found very interesting whilst you were reading was how captivated the listeners were when you were reading. You were able to turn such everyday mundane activities into something that is just so colorful when you write. And how do you do that? If you could give us a...
Thank you. It's difficult to say exactly how I do it, but for a writer, I think you need to engage your audience, okay? Because it's not just about writing, there's a message. You have a message, which is the bottom line. Now, this message can go down well if the reader can connect, if the reader can relate. Okay, so basically what I do is give you, so to speak, the pill, but sugar it a bit, because humor is part of our reality. So I try to uncover the humor around our everyday realities, and then I share it with my audience.
And you do it so well. Nana?
I learned very early on, and I really still am looking for this book, but it's a book I read about picture words. So words that paint pictures, words that describe images. So when I'm writing, I want the words or the paragraphs to be able to be graphic enough so that the reader can imagine it. And also, perhaps it's coming from my background as a poet who had performed a bit. So then you would want the writings to be readable, enjoyable as read on stage. So that's why I try to be as descriptive as possible. And then also, satire always helps. And satire must not be in your face. It must be subtle. So it's like a silver lining in there, which makes the reading enjoyable to the audience. I hope you enjoyed the trotro ride. Akwesi actually comes from the Ashanti region, and so we want to go with us Akwesi as he goes back home and takes a boat ride on Lake Bosomtwe. Kofi.
Thank you very much. This reading is from my book, Romancing Ghana Land, The Beauty of 10 Regions. I'm reading from the story entitled In the Bosom of Busumchi. I have always imagined gazing at Busumchi from the sky, me being up there in the clouds and looking down on this marvel of nature. What would this vast body of water ringed by hills look like? I arrived at night and put up at Paradise Hotel, which has a nice view of the attraction. Getting to the main waterfront and reception center is a 5-minute drive. Early Sunday morning, I got to the waterfront where the cruise starts. What catches your attention when you take in the whole view is a very green surrounding. If you are looking for some peace and quiet and remoteness, this is the place. Another thing that strikes me is the familiarity the people of Ashanti have with this attraction. No one here calls it Lake Busumchi. The endearing term is lake. I have my own long connection with lake. When several years ago, I was doing my national service in Amansia East. This famous tourist attraction was our annual week celebration rendezvous. Because our visit was timed with the payment of Alawa, we had enough money for fun. I had the added pleasure of spending time with family and friends at neighboring Kukufu and Bojari before finally retiring to my base at Afuakon. Many years have since passed, and here I come to visit this place again. This time I come with the eyes of a tourist and the head of a journalist. As for my heart, it still hasn't changed. The fondness grows with every step I take. As I take in the surrounding, there's a longing for the goodness that my long forgotten friends and I enjoyed around the lake. I feel nostalgic for the goat light soup, the bunebunu, and the palm wine. Lake Busumchi is the source of a local tilapia known as apatre. We delighted in fried apatre with roasted cocoyam. My mouth waters as the memories flood in. I tell myself that I have to do something about this appetite thing before long. The friendly guys at Busumchi here have a way of pampering you. Within 20 minutes of dealing with the people, I've been called or therefore twice already. In Ashanti, this is a revered title. If I have earned the title, why don't I push my privileges? My two guides are Kwabena Sapon and Paul Nimo. There are about 3 options for the boat tour, ranging from 30 minutes to 4 hours. Since I'm choosing the long cruise option, I'll be back at lunchtime. Could we talk food? Sapon and Nimo nodded in a why not fashion. Could they get a mature local woman to cook me a meal? Something I could settle to after my tour? They nodded. No problem at all. What meal, Dasibre? I realized I have been promoted. I want boiled green plantain with kontomire and kobe. If they got smoked amani, fine. But the kobe should be the main focus. I mean the theme. And for flavor, nothing. No cube business. Just some plain good old momoni. Oil? Yes, red. Just to color the spectacle. And about the plantain, I like them sliced into small pieces. And oh, could they get some pear? Great. The pear, I prefer payanku. Also sliced. And like the boiled yam, cut into small bits. You don't want to struggle when you eat, do you? Now, not wanting to sound like the Accra visitor who is all demanding, and in a voice like, this is the most difficult thing to ask, I made my next request. Could they be kind enough to arrange for a small, sweet, harmless pot of palm wine for a poor, lonely stranger to wash down his humble meal? By now, their nods had changed into smiles and guffaws and head shaking. Thank you.
That was good, Kofi.
Yes.
That was good. I realized that there was a little bit of goat light soup in there.
Yes, there's goat light soup. Thing with the traditions and the culture is that we easily overlook what role cuisine, for instance, can play. Now, as a travel writer, not only do I promote the places, I also promote the traditional food. So there's a bit of deliberateness. Although it was true, I ate exactly what I had. I took time to ensure that the reader is tantalized. So you begin to see that, oh, you could do without the fried rice and the jollof and then all the fanciful foreign things. So for me, this is also an avenue to promote local cuisine. Good. Now, from Bosomtwi, where are we going? Nana has one good story. It has to do with our Ghanaianness. As a people, we have our personality brand. One can call it stereotype, but the fact remains that there are things that identify us as Ghanaian. So he's going to give us some pointers, and if that doesn't strike you as a Ghanaian, raise your hand. Nana.
Thank you, Kofi. So I read from I Speak of Ghana, and the chapter is You Know You Are in Ghana When. You know you are in Ghana when street lights are visible decorations by day and invisible shadows by night. You know you are in Ghana when ambulances carry dead people leisurely from the hospitals, whilst taxis carry sick people hurriedly to the hospitals. You know you are in Ghana when you wonder whether the spokespersons for the big men speak with them before speaking for them. You know you are in Ghana when police cars with siren blaring are full of people going to a wedding. You know you are in Ghana when the policeman asks you for your torchlight in your car at noon. You know you are in Ghana when the policeman gives you all the reasons why he should not take you to court for a traffic offense. You know you are in Ghana when a 60-year-old man is introduced as the chairman of the Esikuma Youth Association. You know you are in Ghana when the toll boat on the motorway is closed for maintenance at 7 a.m. at rush hour. You know you are in Ghana when a person graduating from a tertiary institution would have probably gone through a minimum of 4 graduations earlier on, the first being at the prime age of 5 years. You know you are in Ghana when the headline of a major newspaper has an error. You know you are in Ghana when the headline of a story is written a week before the story develops, and the two have nothing in common. You know you are in Ghana when journalists, like sign writers, do not use dictionaries. You know you are in Ghana when herbalists weave their submissions with scripture verses even when they don't believe the other parts of the Bible. You know you are in Ghana when a 4-year-old's response to the question, who put off the light, is President Mahama? You know you are in Ghana when someone feels insulted after asking him, what do you mean? You know you are in Ghana when a census enumeration officer asks you, your wife, is she married? You know you are in Ghana when you hear names of football clubs like Asante Achinwelda Bremen, Seshiri also Barcelona, and Patasi Milan. You know you are in Ghana when you hear bus stop names like Basket, Potholes, Tiafiae, Adunle. You know you are in Ghana when you need permission from land guards before you build your own house. You know you are in Ghana when a worker who is already late for work stops to converse. You know you are in Ghana when you have an appointment with someone at 10 a.m., he comes in at 12 noon smiling. You know you are in Ghana when there is a thunderstorm and you start praying that the electricity doesn't go off. You know you are in Ghana when you laugh about serious issues to keep your sanity. You know you are in Ghana when you laugh to prevent you from crying. And I really know you are in Ghana because as you listen to me read this, you shake your head and you smile. Because you know only in Ghana can you never have a dull day. Thank you.
We just heard readings from Romancing Ghana and I Speak of Ghana, and I think it's time that we open up the floor to our audience. I'm sure that they have some questions. I heard them laughing away as the readings were done. So who shall we choose first? Who's ready to ask a question?
Thank you, Nana and Kofi, for taking us through your books. My question goes to Nana. It's about I Speak of Ghana. Listening to you read, it looks more like things that make you know you are in Ghana are kind of derogatory. But it evokes laughter, it evokes smiles. Have you had any other critical response apart from laughter and smiles to I Speak of Ghana?
A lot of people have described my writings, especially my last two books, as being able to make you laugh and think at the same time. So I think that expression actually captures the essence of what I want to do. Our elders say that even though we cry, we stop to blow our nose. So sometimes in your laughter, you laugh, and at the end of it, you actually have time to reflect back and say, even though this is funny, it is sad at the same time. So that's what I seek to do with my writing. I've had some negative responses saying that you are capturing only the negatives, but when you read through the book, there are some positives. But I try to use satire to bring up the things that we are being slow about, because this is the reality. And unless we actually confront them and say that they are funny, they are sad though funny, we cannot start to even change them. My role as a writer is not to please. My role is to provoke, to shock, to enlighten, and through this, perhaps, to bring some positive change.
Thank you, Mary, for that question, and thank you, Nana and Kofi, for the humor you've invoked in us this evening. I wanted to ask Kofi this, that with the food you kept describing, which got me all over my intestinal loveliness, I just wanted to find out if the same food that you described, the plantain and pesi that you had, have you had a similar one here in Accra? And how would you reconcile the taste coming from the two sides? I'm asking this question because I want to know how much as a country we are trying to learn from each other's culture.
I think it's a matter of the cook. Okay, because if the person was trained to cook traditionally, whether the person is in Accra or the person is in Tamale, you have a certain standard. We know, for instance, that here in Accra there are several eateries that can go as traditional as possible. Then there's also the issue of the condiments, because the cook could be good, but the cook may introduce other ingredients that are not traditional. Now, I'm not saying it's good or bad. What I am doing in there is to just show that this is a traditional way of having it and then relishing it.
Thank you very much, Kofi and Nana. We've been lighted this weekend, and then I think our weekend has started very well. We'll take some advice from you to add fufu to our motivation. My question goes to you on the I Speak of Ghana, and then the first book you read as well. It seems you enjoyed before you wrote, so it's making the reader also enjoy whilst he reads. Apart from this, what do you intend to let your book stand for in the future? Because I know books will be there for hundreds of years. So looking ahead, how do you want us to see your book as we move forward as a country?
Very good question. And I will answer that with a preface of my second book. So let me read that. So this from the preface to Through the Gates of Thought. We practice oral tradition in most African cultures, where the thoughts, ideals, and knowledge of the family, tribe, and clan are transmitted from one generation to the other without a writing system. However, this system is flawed in the sense that a lot of African innovation, experience, and culture has been lost. I think of my descendants 2, 3, and 4 generations from now. I think of my children 40, 50 years from now. I try to remember the stories my father shared with me about his life's experiences. Will my descendants know what I'm going through now? What my wishes were for my generation and for them? Can the lessons I have picked from the various peregrinations in my life be crystallized for eternity for the benefit of those yet unborn? So this is my motivation as well, apart from the enjoyment, the satire, and whatever I am doing. So especially in my last 2 books, and even in my earlier books, I try to comment on current happenings in the socio-political sphere. I use that also as a way of creating material for future generations, so that if you read any of my books, say Semitically speaking, I wrote between September last year and March this year, you will see various issues that happen within that which I have commented on. So 20 years later, once you pick the book within this period, you can know that this is what happened. So that answers your question, where I try to capture, like a historian, some of these things. And a very quick point, I've been trying to get some old books about at the turn of the century, the early 20th century on Africa. You realize that most of these books were not written by historians. They were written by people like travel writers like Kofi Akpabli, who were traveling through Africa, West Africa, and then they wrote about their experience. Those are what we call history books now. Okay, so perhaps in 20 years, one of my books could be referenced as a history book because it captures the essence of what happened during this period.
Thank you very much. We are going into our last reading, and we will start with Nana and then end off from there.
So we have done a trotro ride in Accra. We have done a boat ride in Ashanti region. So we started from the south, we went to the middle belt. Those 2 were inanimate objects. So logically, we would want to go up north. And this time we'll do a donkey ride. So Kofi, over to you.
Yes, thank you, Nana, for this opportunity. My third reading is from Hamatan, a cultural profile of northern Ghana. I must share with readers that I have a particular fondness for the 3 regions of the north, because that is where my writing career officially started. And this book is about the lifestyles and the traditions of the Upper East, Upper West, and northern regions. And the donkey is one significant aspect of the landscape there. So I did this story in honor of the donkey. It's entitled Bunga the Donkey. They are meek and they are gentle. They don't complain, yet they work so hard. In fact, work is their life. Donkeys are an interesting part of the savannah landscape, but more than that, they are also the farmer's friend and the housewife's assistant. Among several communities in the north, donkeys are called bunga. As a beast of burden, they are perfect for domestic and farm use. Because of their convenient size, they are cute enough to care for and control. Indeed, unlike other field work animals, donkeys are not so big as to intimidate you. There are horses and there are bullocks, but you can't call these a man's friend as you would the donkey. There may be convincing reason why these animals are so close to man. For instance, according to science, among all mammals, it is donkey milk that is nearest to human milk. In northern Ghana, legends abound about the ass. It is believed that when you do not give the donkey enough loads to carry, it cannot walk properly and it may refuse to carry the load. Other communities believe that the donkey is a standard bearer of morality. So if you see some people struggling to make a donkey carry a load against the animal's wish, it is probable that the items might have been stolen. The animal is said to abhor stolen cargo. Same way, don't be surprised if Bunga refuses your illicit lover's items. That would be an immoral act. Unlike goats and sheep which bleat and bar by heart, the donkey hardly cries. When it has to, the donkey weeps at midnight mainly. This then becomes like a warning to the people because they believe that when this continues consistently, it must have seen something terrible or something worse is about to happen in the community. For thousands of years, mankind has used donkeys for all sorts of work. In the Bible alone, right from Abraham's story to Jesus' triumphant entry into Jerusalem, there have been 82 biblical references to donkeys. If the donkey knows these facts, I'm sure it will put on some swag. But Bunga doesn't. It just keeps working until it drops dead. Thank you. Good. Now we're back to Accra. And Nana is here by my side, and he's going to take a reading for us from a book which title is as captivating as its contents, Sabbatically Speaking. Now, Sabbatically Speaking is a young, passionate Ghanaian's commentary on our ways of life, on our systems, on our actions, on our inactions. It is a book that mirrors us. And Nana is going to pick a story that introduces us to a protagonist of that book. And that is his own Wafa Kapo Chichi. Ladies and gentlemen, Nana Aredamwa.
Thank you very much, Kofi. So I read from Sabbatically Speaking, The Legend of Kapo Chichi. This week, I have been thinking of my ancestors a lot. Of Kwame Basenyin, the first and second. Of Nana Intiakon, of Prema Into, the second. Of Bombay, of Somia, of Ejebima, and of Abakuma. Of these who have gone ahead to prepare the way for the rest of us who will surely traverse the road which doesn't lack pilgrims, willing and unwilling. I thought of Kapochichi. I bring you greetings from all these names as I reflected on the memories of their lives and times. I think of Kapochichi. It is now time to tell you about Kapochichi. You see, Kapochichi is not a fictional character. Kapochichi was my dad's brother. You will say a half-brother, as his mom was not my maternal grandmother, Ifua Bakuma. But in my language, there is no word for half-brother, nor is there a word for cousin. That word is alien to my tongue, and that is why Kapochichi is my wafa. Kapochichi's mother was one of the 14 wives of Nana Premerinto. Go to Asekropon, the big city, and ask of African woman, Nana Sidwa, and she will proudly tell you that she was the youngest wife of my grandfather. She is alive and still goes to her farm. I don't know her age. I doubt that she knows. Nana Sidwa it was who asked me once when I visited with the Wassalets, Nana, when are you having your 4th child? Nana, we are done, I replied. Nonsense. If your mother has stopped at 3, would you have come into this world? Nana Esiedwa, the African woman. Kapochichi lived in the old palace, which was the traditional family house and the residence of Kasapreko, before the new palace atop the hill near Eshure River was built. I don't remember Kapochichi being married, so he ate in the house of his sisters and slept in Kasapreko's palace. Kapochichi contributed no chop money. The little money he had, he spent it at Liberty Base, where the hot stuff was sold. The staff, Kofi Akpabli says, no one ever drank and smiled. VC10, Kume Preko, Amfere Wase, Efie Nipa, Akpet. My uncle Kapochichi was hardly ever sober, but his mind was sharpest when he was not sober. And he certainly spoke his mind, mostly to Kasapreko, he who was reputed to speak once and definitely. So one day, Kapochichi was said to have confronted Kasapreko on an issue and asked him, Nana, wujimia wunhu? Meaning, Nana, don't you realize it yourself when you are being stupid? Sabbatically speaking. I said it. I did. That what a man says when drunk, he thought about while sober. Kapochichi would exercise his sharp tongue even on his sisters who fed him at the risk of losing his next meal. Kanewu, speak your mind and damn dead, he will say, sabbatically speaking.
And that brings us to the end of the maiden edition of Read on SET. I hope that the audience enjoyed it as much as I did, and also the viewers at home as well. We'd like to thank our authors, Nana Areadamo and Kofi Apagli, for taking us on this wonderful journey. And we hope that next week you'll join us once more. Goodbye.